Sir, my name is Shibu. I am working with University of Calicut, Assistant Professor, Department of Development Studies. Sir, my question means I have a concern that we have not discussed international trade in the Kerala context, which play a very major role because we have a lot of comparative advantage in products like GI products. We have a geographical location advantage. So when we boost international trade with tourism, with education, so it will bring a lot of employment creation in the domestic economy, and it also boosts the growth and development. So trade is an important concept because we have a comparative advantage in many products like IP. We have many products like agriculture products. So geographical location wise, port is very close. So we have to use trade to improve the welfare of the state. So that we have not discussed anything on trade, international trade. I was expecting from Veeramani sir, but unfortunately. So that's my add-on to the seminar.
Thank you. Yes, sir. This is the question. What, according to you, sir, will be constraints on independent economic decision making by states? Can Kerala's KIFBI be a model for other states? Am I clear, sir?
Yes. The first thing is that there is a constraint on independent decision making for the country as a whole. And that, to my mind, arises because of the fact that a nation state faces globalized finance. This is something which is a well-known contradiction, and of course Keynes referred to it in 1933, that you cannot really have international finance and at the same time autonomy of the nation state. So there is a constraint that the government of the nation is supposed to do things in order to keep up what is called the confidence of the investor, which basically means it has to appease international finance. Now within that, there is a constraint on the state, because that on a particular state, because that arises both because of the constraints on the nation as a whole, and additionally the constraints imposed by the center on the state government, which have been discussed by so many speakers. You know, that for instance the fiscal constraint and so on, that everybody has been, people have generally talked about. These are very serious constraints, and basically I think the Kerala model, you see, I believe the Kerala model has to be generalized for the country as a whole, but for that to happen, the Kerala model itself must survive the onslaught which the center is now, mounting on the Kerala model.
Actually, I'm not a faculty. I'm a research scholar in University College, and my name is Kevia, and I'm pursuing research in labor security. So my question is actually, when we provide labor security, actually it leads to industrial productivity, according to the figures. But many of the laborers, when I surveyed, came to know that they are not aware about their social security provisions. So what can be done for that? Because when provisions for social security is provided, it improves the GDP contribution, because they would work a lot towards the industrial progressiveness. So what can be done?
Let me just start with some of the questions that have been addressed to me. Firstly, let me address the question that just came. I know, the question that just came, let me just address. Actually, this may be an issue. I'd be very interested in knowing about your research. But broadly speaking, the problem of social security in Kerala is not ignorance of the beneficiaries. That non-claiming, that beneficiaries don't claim social security benefits, that is, I don't see that as the central problem. But if you believe that there is such a thing, the safety net is, or the fallback is, of course, that local government representative informs you about this in any local government office in your panchayat or ward or municipality. There are sources of information on all the social security benefits to which a worker is entitled, and different sectors of workers are entitled. So far the main issue in social security is not that people don't know that they are eligible, a lack of knowledge of eligibility. But I'll leave it at that. The next question, you have mentioned about the need for increasing agricultural productivity in Kerala in your opening address. 2 days back, Professor Ramkumar also mentioned about the need for the same by mentioning that the chemical fertilizers application on Kerala soil is coming down drastically in the last decade. The questioner, who has not given her name, says that she or he thinks that it's because of the organic farming policy. And how can you, are these two conflicting in nature? Now, I don't, I certainly think that that fertilizer use must increase, that balanced fertilizer use must be increased. There are certain aspects, certain features of soil improvement that require chemical fertilizers. There is no substitute for chemical fertilizers for exhausted soils. These must be used in a balanced way, and it need not necessarily be in conflict with pockets and policies for policies for organic agriculture in certain places. But the policies for organic agriculture need a much wider set of changes, including changes in farming practices and changes in seed material. Until those happen, it's very difficult to get a successful policy of organic farming at all. That is a policy of organic farming that will increase productivity and farmers' profitability while being sustainable. So that's my answer to that. Why is the program called Keraleeyam attracting so much criticism? Yesterday, if you've been watching the social media, there's been a host of messages coming on social media, the Keraleeyam social media and the CM's social media, asking why was Keraleeyam only for 1 week? So there will of course be some people who think it should not have been there. We don't, and a very interesting remark by a former minister of the cabinet was that we don't see Keraleeyam only as an expenditure, but as an investment in the future. And that's the, I don't have much to say about that. Why? Well, why can't progress be made in the economics? Our entire discussion has been about economic growth on the basis of our achievements in the field of education and health. Mr. Jobin George from GIFT has said that despite changes in Kerala's development, besides considerable developments and achievements in the health sector, the district of Kasaragod still does not have a medical college and well-developed hospitals. One thing is, we don't say that the entire problem of regional disparities has been cured, entirely been solved. Definitely not. But we do believe that the Kasaragod package and related dispersed economic policies have helped to change the situation in a very big way over the last 5 to 7 years. The question of a medical college still remains, and this is an issue that will certainly be considered and is being considered. The other is, somebody has asked, what is the way forward regarding land reforms? The first aspect of this was land to the working people of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Since giving, that is the landlessness and land distribution, the second phase of land distribution to people of the scheduled castes and tribes. Since 2016-17, around 4,000 scheduled caste landless families have received land annually. No, 4,000. That's not since 2016-17. That's quite a... And there has also been in the last few years about 27,800 scheduled caste families and about 7,700 scheduled tribe families have been provided assistance for the acquisition of land. In addition, we must see to a certain extent even the life mission as a reform in this sphere, because life mission first applied to those people who were homeless but had land, or landless and had landless and homeless, and landed but homeless. So there, it was a scheme which provided across the board land to the people who had no homesteads at all. It also, in the case of people of the scheduled castes and tribes, about almost 1 lakh houses for scheduled caste households and about 26,000 for scheduled caste households. Scheduled tribe households were completed. So housing assistance, homesteads and land distribution have been aspects of the post of the land reforms in the recent phase. But I think also the thing to which we must pay great attention is increasing productivity, nutrition and incomes from existing land holdings, particularly of the small and marginal, and also from homestead holdings. The idea of looking at homesteads as agricultural units and seeing them as sources of nutrition and income has been an emphasis of the current period. So that would also be part of the answer on this matter. I have one more question on I seem to have misplaced that piece of paper, but the question was regarding the silver line. Yes, the planning board has supported very strongly the silver line as you're correct. You said that the Vande Bharat is very popular, and in my view it shows the need for a fast train from Kasaragod to Trivandrum. We have strongly supported the idea of such a semi-high-speed line, which brings you. It would change the face of Kerala if we had something which could get you from Kasaragod, the person in response to the person who asked, from Kasaragod to Trivandrum in less than 5 hours. It would be a massive change would be brought about by such a train connection. The questioner further asks, but don't we have to pay attention to the existing railway lines and existing railway system, improving that in the state? Yes, we do. But the Indian Railways is in the hands of the central government. We have continuously asked for improved train facilities and the improvement and even the location of railway-based manufacturing units in Kerala that have not been actually implemented. But the planning board itself does not plan to do any environmental cost-benefit analyses at present regarding the silver line. We have So do we independently intend to do that? No, not at present. But we are, yeah, so thank you. These are the answers, my responses to the questions that came. Anybody else would like to speak from the audience, please do. The Additional Chief Secretary, Mr. Puneet Kumar, would you like to respond to your questions?
I have received a question from Dr. Ashwati Rachel Verghese from GIFT. How are we placed in disaster management and mitigation measures given the rising gravity of the climate change challenges? It was unheard of that on the western coast there will be any disturbances. It always used to be largely on the eastern coast, but we witnessed huge floods in 2018-19, and as resident commissioner I had a chance to manage some of the issues in close coordination with the Disaster Management Authority and also the district collectors. I would like to tell you that Kerala State Disaster Management Authority is very well equipped and it can handle any kind of challenges arising out of disaster, especially on account of climate changes. 2 consecutive years, 2018 and 19, it happened and it was quite well managed. Not only that, Kerala state somehow has been little unfortunate in facing many disasters, 2 landslides and floods, Nipah virus, coronavirus, and we have been having these kinds of Okhi and other kinds of cyclones which keep on hitting us. But our state has been able to manage all those situations very, very deftly. I would like to apprise this House that on the stabilization of the slopes and the projects which are already going on, such as Wayanad Tunnel and even the coastal areas and some of the hilly tracts in the Idukki district, there has been a training given for the capacity building by involving the Norwegian Geotech Institute to all our engineering staff in collaboration with the Planning Board and Kerala State Disaster Management Authority very recently, and this is an ongoing program which is being taken up so that state does not find itself suddenly unaware and there are disasters which cannot be managed. We are constantly on building our capacity. Another issue, what is preventing the government of Kerala from making timely payment of the procurement price of paddy to farmers, although state is acclaimed as a welfare-oriented state? Gilbert Sebastian. I would like to respond that the kind of situation that we are facing presently with regard to the financial constraints is only a temporary and a transient one. It will pass. It does not change the philosophy of the state of Kerala to be welfare oriented. We have been very, very concerned. There are efforts going on in this direction also, and very soon the solutions will be found out. There is another one from the same person. Although Kerala's performance in doling out welfare has been much more impressive as compared to other states in the country, why is it that the tens of thousands of acres of land in the state are illegally held by large corporate houses like Tata Tea and Harrison Malayalam? Don't you think if the land rights of SCs and STs and other landless are recognized, there would be no need to dole out most welfare benefits? I would like to respond. There are 3 different issues. One, the needs of the SCs and STs for hand-holding, for their education, for their health care and other things is an ongoing thing, and this cannot be misunderstood by just giving them the land. Even if you are born in a rich family, you are required to be taken for education, you are required to be taken care of for the health purposes. It is not just that you have money and everything will be taken care of automatically. Land rights are separate, SC/ST issues are separate, and the fact that some of the lands which have been held for a very long time by some of the corporates were created for plantation purposes. When the situation is changing, government will certainly take conscious view, and if there is any need for change or reallocation of the lands, it will be considered appropriately. Right now, it is nowhere in the consideration. Then I have one more question, last one with me, that there is an issue of the low enrollment in the schools located in certain urban locations. In certain locations, 2 schools function in single premises, some examples given in Trivandrum. However, in tribal hilly areas, pupils travel even 15 kilometers one side to reach the school. Can we relocate the school resources in urban areas in order to benefit the tribal areas? One Mr. Subair has asked. My response, when in urban areas these schools were created in the government setup, there was a need assessment based on which it was created. Now in case there are more number of private schools have come up, which has reduced enrollment not to the full capacity in these schools. This is again a transient phenomena. Maybe after studying this and evaluating this for some more time, a decision can be taken to this effect. As far as tribal schools are concerned, a lot has been done. I had held the charge of the principal secretary of SC, ST and backward classes 2 years ago. I know for sure that Eklavya model schools and the model residential schools which are coming up and the kind of improved educational facilities are being added, they will take care. On one particular school which is having such kind of long distance, it will be communicated to the concerned department and they will certainly have a look at it. Thank you. In case there is any other question, I am willing to field those questions.
I am going to respond to just 2 questions. One says per capita income is also one of the indicators of economic growth, but can we say it is a positive growth if the income disparity is high? Let me rephrase it a bit, because per capita income is not an indicator of growth, it is an indicator of the level of development of output in an economy. But the point is well taken that, an increase in per capita income between 2 points in time need not necessarily imply a reduction in the inequality in the distribution of incomes. So you can have greater inequality in the distribution of incomes despite the apparently higher per capita income. So the point is well taken that per capita income on its own should not be taken as an unambiguous measure of performance of an economy. If you are concerned about distributional issues, as in fact you should be. Can we say it's positive growth if income disparity is high? Well, again, in terms of matter of fact, growth has occurred. Output has increased, either on an absolute basis or on a per capita basis. That is indisputable, but that can always be questioned, the usefulness of such growth can be questioned on the grounds of whether it also, is one that is equitable and provides for inclusive character of the growth. So, yes, I think the income disparity is not only high, but rising. Growth increases output, but disparity rises. That's the challenge you face. So can we have a growth process which is disparity reducing? And that's the point we were making, that the model that Kerala has been aspiring for is made very difficult by the union policies, is that we need a process of growth that lowers disparities as well. Okay, under the indirect tax system, GST, all sections of society pay tax at the same rate. So the welfare schemes provided by the government and so on can now be termed as freebies. Absolutely, it is. In fact, in our country, this is a point I repeatedly make whenever I speak. The working people produce the wealth of the country. But you have a Prime Minister and a Finance Minister who say corporates produce the wealth of the country. This is the tragedy that we have. Given that the working people produce the wealth of the country, they are entitled to whatever benefit the government offers in terms of their living standards. So I would completely agree that to dismiss government provisions for the sections of the population lacking access to assets and incomes, to dismiss them as a freebie would be completely erroneous. If anything, the largest freebies in this country are enjoyed by the big corporate houses.
Okay, so there is a question on the future of social sector development in Kerala because the state is passing through a serious fiscal crisis. Then what is the future of the social sector development? A very valid question, but my answer is the growth is the answer. Growth means growth in particular areas which we can also lead to revenue generation for the government and also direct impact, positive impact on social sector indicators. Like for example, as I said, female labor force participation rate, when you increase it and when you use that as the channel through which you achieve growth, there are number of studies and examples from across the world which shows that when women participate in productive activities, it generally contributes to much greater positive effect on human development indicators. Like, we have example from our neighboring country Bangladesh, where the female labor force participation rate is very high, particularly in the garment sector. And we know that Bangladesh rank above India in terms of a number of human development indicators. And one reason for that is the direct participation by women in productive activities. So that is, the point that I make here is that if a similar thing can be made in Kerala, where more women come out of unpaid household work to the jobs in the productive sectors of the economy, particularly in knowledge intensive services. That is where productivity is high and wage rates are high. That can have a direct positive effect on social development indicators, and also government can continue playing its role through increased revenue that can happen as a result of that. The second question is, how is the state going to create more employment? The agriculture and industry is not creating enough employment, and employment is declining. Now here again, if you look at the data, I had the data but I didn't show it, which are the sectors where Kerala has created jobs and which are the sectors where jobs have gone down. There is a very clear pattern. The pattern is that the relatively high-paying sectors, more productive sectors, where more educated people are demanded. These are the sectors where net job growth has been positive. And the sectors where net job growth has been negative are the agriculture sector, where the productivity is the least. So apart from construction, where of course there are job creation that has happened, the other sectors which are basically knowledge-oriented service sectors, like IT related, finance intermediation, real estate, these are the sectors where we see that the net job creation has been positive. So it is not just the absolute number of jobs that alone that matters, it's also the quality of jobs. So when you focus on knowledge-based services and industries, what we are trying to do is not only in terms of the number of jobs, but also the quality of that jobs, which is going to be better than the traditional sector-based jobs. Now, there was a question about international trade, whether state can use this as a potential channel for realizing growth. There, what I again related to the comparative advantage of the state, which is again not so much in commodity producing sector, but again in services. And much of international trade these days are happening in services. So the relative share of services in India as well as across the world in total international trade is going up, and very soon services trade is going to be much more than the merchandise trade. And that is where the state exactly has a comparative advantage. And the focus on knowledge-based services is obviously going to generate positive impact through the channel of international trade for the state. So the kind of infrastructure that we need for exploiting that as a source of growth and comparative advantage is slightly different from the traditional commodity sectors. But that is of course one area where growth can happen. Finally, there was a question about whether Along with the policy prescriptions you suggested, do you think development of gig economy and its extension to organized sector will improve women's participation in the labor force participation? Yes, I do agree. So, like, there are various areas like health related tourism or education and online service provision in education, in health, and various things where women can very actively participate. And women in Kerala, they are educated. They have the required skill to participate in those productive activities, which can, so if an ecosystem is developed for these sectors to grow, and in that sense the focus of the state government is in the right direction when we talk about the knowledge economy, so that can bring women into those sectors and increase their labor force participation rate, which can have this virtuous cycle that we were earlier talking about through human development. Now the next stage, it could be through greater participation of women in productive activities, which will lead to human development as well as growth. Thank you.
I'm going to quickly, just one more question. On the phenomenon of brain drain happening in Kerala, how can we stop or reduce it? Are we taking steps to bring back the working age population that has gone to work elsewhere? And I want to just say two things here. One is that we are even at a time of, in a very difficult year, we have been, the government of Kerala has been investing new levels of, putting new levels of investment into higher education, into all sectors in higher education. The government believes that although we've in the last 5 or 6 years, our performance indicators in higher education have improved substantially. Nevertheless, we still have a distance to go before we can be called a real, shall we say, a hub or a beacon for higher education in India. This, as we, the move to the investment in higher education is being accompanied by an effort to create, to also make Kerala a place for a hub for the workers with the most modern skills, and to create employment suited to our geography and environment that will use these skills. So this kind of highly skilled employment can be the only way to keep a labor force here. We are not, there's no active policy to bring back, in the sense that to stop migration or something on that land. But the point is to be able to create the most modern and best, most desirable forms of employment for a young and skilled labor force inside the state. That would be the. Secondly, I just want to go back to a few points that came up. This relates to what my colleague Puneet Kumar also said. It is, in principle, it relates to our land reform question too. In principle, the government of Kerala wants to distribute land to all landless scheduled caste and scheduled tribe families, at least homestead land, agricultural or homestead land to all families. So that is the policy, that's the policy objective that is to which our land, the current phase of our land reform is directed. I want to also revisit the question on Kasaragod. See, one thing is that there are regions in the state which requires particular development attention and particular development investment and assistance. Among them are the Kasaragod, Wayanad, Idukki. All three now, as of the last 2 financial years. There was a Kasaragod package earlier. Now there are a Wayanad and an Idukki package as well. This is in addition to the money that is spent through regular schemes and regular department expenditure in the districts, special investments in these districts. The formulation of these packages has been based, as you would expect in Kerala, on very detailed discussion in each of these districts, at the local body level, among interested and committed members of the public, and government policy officials involved in government policy. On that bit, we have formulated, the planning board formulated the Kasaragod, and newly the Wayanad and Idukki packages on that basis. Another regional package that has been developed is the second Kuttanad package, which also looks at specific development problems of a particular area. This, I think, is a promising way to go. I think that as we go on in the year to come, certainly, that we will be looking at district specific. That is, the government will look at district specific issues and paths of employment, development, employment generation and income generation district-wise, while looking for district-level solutions to these problems, some of the problems that you've raised. This, in addition to I'm saying in addition to the packages for the district, for these 3 districts plus Kuttanad, the idea of looking at districts more carefully as units of development and having specific solutions will be taken up very seriously over the next, the short and medium term. So I did want to make that point about questions of regional distribution of development policies in the state.